The release of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 earlier this year marked the end of so many things. James Gunn's time at Marvel, that Adam Warlock tease from 5 years ago, this team of Guardians being together, and a lot of people have spoken out this probably will be the last MCU project they'll watch. This team that we've been following for almost a decade has been pretty much disbanded, but that's okay. These people that the world fell in love with in 2014 got a fitting end for each character without anybody dying, anybody sacrificing themselves, or anybody being forcibly split apart and getting back together for forced drama. If you think about it, that was like one big second act breakup. But each of them got an ending that fit personally and didn't need help from anybody else to get it. Peter went back to his grandpa, Gamora regrouped with the Ravagers, Mantis went on a journey for her, Drax and Nebula stayed on Nowhere with the Noah Ark in space, and Rocket, Groot, and Kraglin and Cosmo formed a new team of Guardians to protect the galaxy. There are very few examples I can remember of movies, especially superhero movies, that didn't end with the main character kissing a love interest that had tension throughout the film. I'm sure you can picture it in your head, or you saw Blue Beetle. Saying that these characters had anything less than complete and thought out arcs with a couple hiccups in between is a blatant and ignorant lie. You already know about my problems with characters having to wait until the very end to get their iconic costumes, catchphrases, or heck, even their name.
The name's Rocket. Rocket Raccoon.
Okay, maybe there are some exceptions. Rocket Raccoon is the most consistent and fleshed out character in the entirety of the MCU, hands down. Rocket's backstory is the main reason Gunn decided to make the first movie. This little creature that did absolutely nothing wrong, but was taken against his will to be experimented on just to have every single person around him die and abandon him. Lila, Teefs, Floor, Groot, Yondu, Gamora, Groot again, Mantis, Drax, Peter. Sure, some of these people came back in some form, but not all of them. The times I've cried or related a bit too much in these movies is 99.999% because of Rocket. Rocket's drunk rant in the first one, which gave the first hint to his backstory, Rocket and Yondu arguing the second one, Rocket crying at Yondu's funeral, realizing that after everything is said or done, his friends still love him, Rocket's reaction to Groot dusting away in Infinity War, Rocket's pep talk to Thor during Endgame, and finally, seeing Rocket attack the High Evolutionary after having all of his friends die around him, shooting thugs in the way, and finally flying away in a spacecraft and seeing the sky he had pictured for so long. Every single person and their mother was convinced that even if nobody else died in the final movie, that Rocket was going to bite the bullet. Nobody thought he was going to live to see the end of this, but they were wrong. And that's fantastic. Rocket finally getting to be the captain he wanted to be because nothing in his life ever went the way he wanted to is a better ending than any fanboy on Twitter, or X I guess now, could have written themselves. I think it would have been peak if he said, "Rocket Raccoon, what a joke," and then threw his gun away and wore Iron Man's armor in his honor. After something that was hinted at in Volume 2 and had a kind of funny joke in Infinity War at first, but then was made unfunnier the more times it was repeated like most things in these movies, Rocket is leading the Guardians in his own way with his own team where he goes on his own missions, and this is earned 100%. It's bittersweet, and how he might not have the Guardians we've been following, but it's living on its own way. He's making the choices and learning to swim, which transitions well into the next part. Peter Quill had an arc from being a man-child who only cared about himself to becoming a part of a family and willing to go to another planet and deal with one of the most evil villains in the MCU just to save his best friend. But one part of his arc that would be stupid not to mention is the relationship with Gamora. Gamora is by far the best and most complexly written female character in any of these movies. There's a huge asterisk on that written though. She's the most complexly written female character in these movies when being written by James Gunn. So, you probably haven't heard of them, but there were these two movies that came out in 2018 and 2019 called Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, and these movies, including the Guardians of the Galaxy in them. That's cool. I mean, Gunn was a consultant on the movie, but not actually a writer, so hopefully there won't be too many Jurassic...
Okay, this part is actually really good. I mean, it's... Oh my god! No, don't do it! No! He fell off the fucking building! No! He's about to die! Whoa! No, don't do... Oh my god! He's fucking falling! What the fuck? Why did you do it? Oh my god! I'm about to piss myself! Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
Well, that was conceptually adventurous.
Oh, okay, so she's just dead now. Okay, Thor's here now, but that got solved in his own movie, so that doesn't matter much. I do like that James Gunn admitted that if Guardians came out before Love and Thunder, he still wouldn't have mentioned where Thor was. Oh, okay, Peter was back to Earth for first time in like 30 years, but it wasn't mentioned at all. Yeah, so the writers from Infinity War and Endgame decided to make like a bunch of decisions for the Guardians that didn't make much sense. They brought back Star-Lord's helmet, they decided to regress Rocket to being a jerk to Peter even though that came to a semi-end in Volume 2. You know, if I had a nickel for every time that the Infinity War writers undid someone's character arc that they had in a movie that was released in 2017, just for goosing gaffes and benefit somebody else's character arc in the movie, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that happened twice. I should probably stop talking about that, people are going to think I'm obsessed. Anyway, Gamora's dead and so is half of everybody in the world. So at the start of Volume 3 and partially the holiday special, Peter is sad that his girlfriend died, but not really. She's not actually dead, she just doesn't remember him because she's from the past, and you can't really remember stuff when it hasn't happened to you yet, pal. Use your head. He keeps trying to talk to her to see if he can rekindle what they had together to various results. You could see some hints that maybe something could be developing between the two of them, but around the middle of the movie, Peter and Mantis, really, I guess, have a conversation. Ever since leaving Earth, Peter had jumped from woman to woman to have next to him without ever thinking about how he would go on without them. So he needs to take time to figure out himself. After a final conversation with Gamora, Peter decides to go his own way, but leaves the Guardians with the right hands. It's bittersweet, but that's the nature of this movie. Seeing these people that we know have gone through so much finally get to be happy is such a pleasure to see. Many people have said that this is the last Marvel movie they'll have to watch, and I'm sure some people really mean that, but let's be honest, the next Avengers or Spider-Man movie is still gonna make like $1 billion, but whatever. I can honestly say without a doubt that I don't blame anyone. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is one of the best movies of this year, one of the greatest superhero movies of all time, and a great finale that wraps up everything in a nice little bow to look back at in the future. I'm gonna miss seeing these goofballs, but they've done what they needed to do. So now it's up to us to keep going and learn to swim.